Hello everyone, welcome to GS Core. I'm Abhishek Saxena, Faculty of Public Administration, Optional and Governance and Social Justice. So today I have a very special person with me. She is Chandarprabha Sharma, rank 289 for UPSC Civil Services Examination 2023. Apart from her rank and her accomplishment, what makes her special is the fact that she is one of my students, right, who's been able to crack this examination with public administration optional, and I've always called her Prabha. Yes. So I'll call her Prabha in this interaction as well. So welcome, Prabha.
Thank you, sir. It's great to be here. Thank you.
So it feels great to have you here. So Prabha, tell us how life has changed post result. I mean, 6th attempt, the last attempt, and coming out with flying colors. Not to say that she does not have credentials apart from now, being into the services. But what has changed?
I had imagined post-result scenario, and at that time, 1 week before results came, it felt like life will change as we know it. And we used to talk about it, my friends of candidates. I just realized that it hasn't really changed as much, mainly because the goal still remains public service. And I believe I would have still done it regardless of the name in the holy PDF. Hopefully that would have continued. Parents' support has remained the same. Mentors like you, their support has remained the same. I am confident that if I hadn't made it on the list, I know you would have still been supportive. So that is something. So actually, I'm very grateful that status quo is maintained. So, and the eye is now on the target. This is just the start. I know the responsibility is huge, very huge responsibility put on our shoulders. And eye is on the target to truly perform now in public service.
Well, as Robert Frost said, miles to go before I sleep. So obviously cracking this examination itself is a great achievement, but the real work of public service begins. So Prabha, what actually pulled you into public service? Because I just want the listeners and the viewers to know for the fact that apart from trying to become a civil servant, Prabha has worked extensively in the social sector on sustainable livelihood, sustainable development, mental health, and whatnot, right? So what actually became the pull factor for civil services?
Yes, sir. So I went in as another young teenager to pursue an engineering degree. But when I went there, I realized that we could be applying engineering to one of my passion subjects, which was environment conservation. I love nature. So I started working on that, and one project I had initiated was the conservation of the Saryu River. And when I started working there in the Ayodhya district for the conservation of the river, I saw policymakers truly having an impact not just on people's lives, but also on the environment in general. So public policy pulled me, and then I went on to pursue a master's in public policy at Georgetown, and I also worked for the New York City Department of Education to consult with them on sustainability. So it was that thread of sustainability and sustainable development. And I realized that, okay, I could become a consultant, but the more natural extension was to get inside the system and try for the UPSC exam. So I rushed back home, landed on June 2016, and prelims was in August 2016. So first prelims attempt, which I failed. So that was the start.
All right. So a very interesting question was put up to Prabha, and I'll keep calling her Prabha because that is how I have always called her. The moment she enters the interview chamber or the personality test chamber, and the chairman asks, who has been misguiding you? Tell us more about that particular encounter.
Yeah, so when we prepare for interview, we have a sense of the profiles of the chairpersons, and we like to read. UPSC gives the profiles, so we get to know more about them. And I had imagined Sanjay Verma sir is an ambassador, very expert in his field, and I imagined him very positive. So I was looking forward to that, and I walk in, and sir is leaning forward, and he welcomes me, asks me to take a seat, and in a very serious manner, he says, so tell me who has been misguiding you. And I was very grateful to him internally. I was very grateful that thank you, sir, for giving me an opportunity to talk about my life. And in that moment, I accepted that I should actually take responsibility for my actions and decisions. And it was the journey that I took. If it looks misguided, it was mainly because my ambition and the goal I set for myself to an extent kept evolving and kept progressing. So, but I humbly also respectfully told him that, so I wouldn't call it misguided, because it was this journey that made me the person I am today and made me eligible to sit here in this seat and learn from this esteemed panel. So he welcomed the answer, was very encouraging.
Great.
So it was a core memory now.
Core memory now, right? And I'm sure, this memory is going to carry forward, and you'll fondly tell about this to lot many people as you move on the journey. So Prabha, apart from all the charm that civil services attract, lately there have been naysayers as well. Naysayer, I would not say complete naysayer that demolished the civil services, but there have been views that civil services should not be the goal for the youth. So what are your views about the same?
Yes. Recently, the chief economic advisor had also called it the poverty of aspiration. It really depends. I actually heard him, and it was a very impressive, very inspiring conversation when he did that. And I went into self-reflection, because for me it has been 6 attempts in 8 years of this journey. So I went into self-reflection. In my individual case, I'm glad I took this journey. But again, I have to truly acknowledge the role of privilege and luck here. I had the privilege of having the income support from family. So I could afford to just sit at home and study without earning any income. There are candidates and fellows of mine who may just be supporting their family by earning an income. So for them, it may not be practical to go 6 attempts, 8 years. So I guess the only suggestion I can make here is not to glorify my own journey in any way for young aspirants. Don't look at it as a pedestal. I was able to do it because I had the cushion that my family gave me. But if you are supporting your family, then please make very practical decisions and give it serious attempts. If you're giving us an attempt, just be serious about it and go forward. It is a worthy profession.
It's a worthy battle to fight, as they say.
Absolutely.
All right. So that brings me in, drawing the thread from what you just said. How important is a plan B, or what should one do in case of a plan B? How should one come up with it, basically?
Yes, and the plan B buzz actually started because of 23 prelims as well.
Right.
It is important. When I talk about mental health, especially, we do an exercise where we ask people to identify their greatest fear, write it down and name it. So what happens is, when you identify your fear with UPSC, you are basically saying that I'm scared that if I don't clear the exam, I will not have a career or a profession. Now that fear, once you name it, the solution to that is the plan B. Of the higher goal of public service. So it is one of the many means of doing public service, and you don't have to be a civil servant or a public servant to do public service.
Right. And I guess you have been on both the sides of the spectrum now. I mean, of course, after getting into the services and even before that. So friends, that's truly an example, right, for you all to actually, if there is a will, there is a way. And you can really hammer out your way into uncharted territories if you really wish to. So I would like to ask more on the anxiety issue. Because you have been talking very strongly about it. You feel so strongly about it. You have worked on these things with people, helped others. So ideally, when we talk about aspirants and anxiety, like employment and somehow sustaining the life is one issue. Apart from that, what are the issues do you think a candidate or an aspirant faces, and how they can better manage it? Because I know that not every problem needs to be solved, some needs to be managed. Right?
Absolutely, that's very true, especially with mental health.
With mental health, right?
Yes. So again, speaking from not a medical professional background, I'm not a medical professional, but just from my own personal experience here, some of the issues that candidates face besides job insecurity is also social pressures and family expectations. That's one. The other is your own expectations. So what I tell myself is, and even other friends, is that whenever a fear comes up, often it is the fear of your inner child who was 13-year-old, 16-year-old, 22-year-old, who had seen the vision, but they are scared. And it is their demons that keep coming and talking. So what we do in this is, and I want to address both fronts, the inner anxiety that is self-driven and the external anxiety. So the first one is to truly assure your inner child, saying that, hey, I have your back and I'm doing well. Look at how far I've come. Even if I've given 5 attempts in my case, they're not wasted. You learned a lot. So I'm not just 32 years old, I'm also 28, 29, 30, and I'm carrying all those fears. But my 32-year-old self is telling my 24-year-old self who gave her first prelims that things are fine.
Things are fine.
You're okay. You will be okay.
So keep, reassuring yourself is one of the key elements.
Just positive self-talk, because we give to ourselves also, we talk very negatively, very toxically. The second part of this is family and parents. So a very sincere message to all the honorable parents who are supporting this journey. उन 4 लोगों का मत सोचिए, वो सोसाइटी का और वो प्रेशर आएगा. मेरे केस में
well, in this case शर्मा जी की बेटी. हाँ जी. But again, even if she would not have made it to the list, she would have certainly she was making her parents proud.
I was blessed with parents who didn't equate my rank or my performance with my inner merit and my value. I was blessed with that. So they and my family, my brother and my sister-in-law, they formed a fortress, and of course extended family, they formed a fortress around me to shield me from the society expectations. Friends supported me. So, I mean, to parents, be the ally of your children in this journey and defend them when someone from the society questions their talent and their merit in the journey. So that is another thing.
That is great. So, serious questions aside, what does Prabha do for fun? How does Prabha have fun?
I have a few stray dog friends. So I'll just, if I'm studying, I'll just leave and I'll go and I'll play with them. I love hiking, trekking. I love being, so I live very next to a river that we're now actually working to conserve in Vichumbe, Maharashtra. We're working with the Gram Panchayat. I go to do, I take children along and just to see birds. So bird watching is another one, rivers, which is being in nature.
Great, great. So how do you think, I mean, that there has been a word around that no guidance is needed, coachings are not needed, etc., etc. My personal view is that if the coachings would not have been here and if the guidance would not have been here, people from middle class, humble backgrounds and the mass of the society would not have been able to make to the class of the society. So what are your views and how do you think like GS Core pitched in to help you out in your preparation journey?
So I think guidance is definitely needed. I had been misguided for quite some time in terms of the multiple attempts I took. I was misguiding myself in a way. Guidance is needed, but the nature of guidance can really evolve and vary. In some cases, candidates prefer to really invest their money and go for paid coaching classes, and that is their choice. It is their individual prerogative here. In our case, I got free support, essentially. So that was helpful. But what I want to say is that guidance is available in different forms. Free and open source guidance is available, and good reputed private coaching industry is also available. What I think what we need to do, and the coaching industry ecosystem itself, I think they are self-regulating because of the recent verdict that also came out. So as long as the coaching class is really maintaining those standards of integrity and students are holding them accountable towards those standards, I think it's an ecosystem where
everybody benefits. Yeah. Right. Okay. So tell us about PubAd. I mean, you and I have spoken at length about just the subject, examination aside,
Yes.
right? Because of the shared passion towards the subject, me being in the profession of teaching this subject, and you, using this subject, living this subject in a way your daily in terms of your daily endeavors. Tell us about PubAd and UPSC and you.
Public administration as a choice for me came very naturally, and I know even at that time in 2016 everyone was saying it's not a scoring subject, but for me I just told myself that if you, God forbid, if you really have to give multiple attempts, you should give it with a subject that you can tolerate. And not only was it a subject that I was tolerating, I was enjoying it. I was able to visualize the thinkers and their theories come to life. Sometimes I would even imagine my own non-profit, my NGO, and think of how I will apply, let's say, Mary Parker Follett's theories into conflict resolution in real-time organizations. So that was very interesting. And for me, it was a no-brainer. It was a very natural choice of optional. Of course, I had the support of mentors like you. So that was very helpful to me, and it kept my passion for the subject alive. Yeah, enjoy the subject.
So the last question before we close this session, and everybody talks about what to do, what not, study like this, take up these sources, do this. Tell me some don'ts that absolutely is a no-go area for a candidate, because everybody is going to tell them what to do, right? But at least something which the candidate should be wary of.
So I think I'm very well placed because 6th attempt, so I can actually tell you what not to do.
Right.
My first mistake was to give the exam casually. When I landed back from the US in India, June 2014, I believe, and August was prelims. It was a complete, I mean, I didn't take my competition respectfully, and I should have. They were very credible competitors in the exam who were striving and working hard for 1.5 years. And I should have been mindful of that. That is one. So don't give any exam just to experiment and attempt dekh lete hain kaisa hota hai. I think that is not. If you give an attempt, even if it's your first, give it very seriously. Give it that 1 year, 1.5 year cycle that it needs. That is one. Second is the mistake that I was making is running behind advanced and exotic sources, thinking that the basic ones are just too basic and school mein padhte the. So like NCRTs. I didn't take them seriously, and in my 23 attempt, when I actually sat down because of another mentor and I started working on NCRTs, I realized it is helping me not just understand the concepts better, but also enjoying the subject. So I had a fear of history, which actually got solved because of NCRTs. It made it a very enjoyable read. So basic, standard, simple books. And another thing is just don't complicate the strategy. Keep it very simple and keep putting in your reps for the same strategy and keep revisiting it. No exotic sources, no quick pills, no magic bullets here.
Right. So basically, if I can encapsulate that, be consistent, be regular, be precise, right, and everything else will fall in place.
Yes, and don't self-reject. I did that a lot. I had a lot of self-doubt. Don't do that. You're good in just choosing to go through this journey.
So you all are good, and just like how Prabha did it, you all can do it too. So with this note, let's sign off from this video. Thanks a lot, Prabha, again for coming up, for coming here and talking about your journey, having this interaction. Right. All the best and many congratulations.
Thank you for having me.